can you see? Okay. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can just take this and you just twist them in your finger around. They end up not getting too well together. The other option you can do is you can just take them and twist them this way as you go around. Then one other thing you can do is you can take one of these, and if you want to have the whole strand together, you can twist a few times this way, and now that holds this strand together. And do the same thing with this one, and you can turn them the opposite direction. Same number of turns. I forgot to count, but I don't remember where I was at. But then, as you twist them together, they're going to stay together as a group instead of going individually. So now this one, I didn't twist this one quite as much. You can kind of tell in there. And that has a little bit different look than if you go back and, because you can see each strand is twisted in there. So I'm going to go back to where I started and take all the twists out of this one. Okay. And keep all these on here. And I'm going to take all the twists out of this one. Now, what you can do now, I've got to get this back up here to where this is together. Now, what you can do as these are grouped, just pass them over and under like this. And now you have your little bit nicer twist. Your strands will stay together. Your string will look a little bit neater. And I like to do this before I put any serving on them. That way it's twisted underneath the serving. Otherwise, if you serve it and then you have not twisted it there, put a little pressure on it, and next thing you know, you're going to be stretching a little bit. So now that is your string. I didn't count the twists. You want to follow recommended twists, 1 to 2 twists per inch. Put a few more in here. You can adjust the length of your string by putting, if it's a little bit too long, if it stretches for you, you can put a couple of more twists in it and shorten your string up just a little bit so you can fine tune the length to get that perfect length on here. So that's why you can twist your strings together and keep your colors separated a little bit better. Okay, we're going to serve the end of this. So I like to just start by tying a little knot in here, just to hold it in place. And now I'm going to wrap the same way that if I wrap the opposite direction and twist it, so I need to wrap the same way that it is twisted, so I don't have a tendency to unwrap it. So I'm going to wrap this around, and now I'm going to move this up a little closer because this is an end loop, so I don't need a real big one. And now I'm going to take this end, I'm going to wrap it around. Now I'm going to pull this out and wrap this around, and then put it back in and serve over the top of it. That'll hold that end in. Oh, got a little too tight here. Getting the correct tension on here is sometimes a little bit challenging to start with. Now I'm going to go down a little bit. Now I'm going to take this piece and pull it out of that serving because I don't need it served all the way down there. And I'm going to wrap this around. You want this fairly tight, but not so tight that it's really deforms your string. Okay, now when you get ready to tie it off, you're going to pull a loop. And now you're going to keep wrapping around, going back towards where you were at. Okay, do a few turns. And now as you finish wrapping this around, this one comes off as this one goes on. Okay, you get there. Now all you need to do is pull this down tight, pull it in, and that's how you're going to do the end. I didn't do a real neat job here, but if this was on my bow or a customer's bow, I definitely take that off and start over just so that it was nice and neat. But burn the ends, and that's how you do your loop. To do your other one, because they're so short, you're going to have to take this off. Flip them around. Now, what I'd normally do, if this is going to be a bow, I'd actually serve around this. And that's what this is for. On a longer string, you can use this. We'll separate this out. So now you can serve around that. But for this little sample, I'm not going to do that. That's not necessary for this little sample. And there again, if I turn this way, it unwraps it. So I want to keep going until I wrap it a little tighter. So I'm going to come around, snug this up, hold this tail in, go over it a couple times. I'm going to pull it out, wrap it around, and then pull it back along the end of here. Wrap a couple times. Pull that tail end out because it doesn't need to be the whole distance. And you keep wrapping the same direction. I didn't get my knots in here. I would have adjusted it normally, but because you want to have them underneath the serving normally. But this is just a test one here. See the colors. Wrap it around until you get the length you're going to need. Pull that out and finish wrapping. This actually ties in that tag end. Pull it tight. There you go. Cut the two ends off. Burn the ends. There you go. There's our copper and blue test string for colors.